Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tintin. You're watching the Two Backpackers. We changed the name although, but I keep on saying that name anyways. So you know what? I was going through my vlogs and what I saw that you guys are not subscribing. I mean, if you are liking the content, then why don't you subscribe? Yeah, I know. Although I keep on saying that it's your life, do whatever you want, but actually I want you guys to subscribe. So just do it right now. And you know what, I was going through my vlogs and what I found out that a major part of my life was missing, like the most important part of my life, which is my artworks, or just me creating artworks, or my art workflow, or graphic design, anything, just me doing something with art. So I thought of boosting that up, level that up right now. So here is me presenting my first tutorial. So in this video I'm going to be showing how you can create still life object with pencils, and I'm going to be starting two objects. So we have two wooden objects and one glass object, so we are going to study them. The objective of this video, however, is not creating a realistic image or a realistic study work with pencils. But the objective of this video is to bring out that feeling in the painting that this is a glass object and this is a wooden object. So that feeling should be there, and it's not necessarily it has to be realistic, right? So I mean, you can still identify that this is a glass object and this is a wooden object without making it too realistic. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of realism, so maybe. Anyways, so let's just jump into our process and let's start doing the sketch. For this sketch I'm using Staedtler 2B, 3B and 4B pencils. So firstly let's have a look at our objects. So we have one glass object and two wooden objects. So we are going to sketch them and let's begin. So I'm starting off with the upper part of this horse-like toy. So in order to bring out the dimensions, I'm sketching the side part of this horse face with vertical lines, and for the top part of it I'll be sketching it with horizontal lines. Since the mouth part of this toy is rounded as it should be, I'll be sketching it with curved lines in order to bring that effect. And for the lower neck I'll be sketching it with dark horizontal lines so that it looks that it is covered with shadow. Okay, so since this part of the toy that I'm currently working on is not flat but rather a bit curved, so I'll be using horizontal curved lines in this area. In order to bring out a kind of wooden texture which I'm really fond of, I'm using little broken line instead of a single curved line. In that way we get a nice texture, I believe. Another point worth noticing is that the central part of this horse is much curved than its edges, so the curvature of the lines here will be greater in comparison to its edges. Now that I'm done with this side, I'll be moving on to the upper part of this toy, and I'll be sketching it with somewhat straight horizontal broken lines, and also I'll be giving it a nice outline so that it's more prominent. So this side, which is the front part, is pretty much that same, but it's just a little less curved. So obviously I'm gonna be using less curved lines, but one thing that I notice here is that just near the joint where the side portion and the front portion come together, there is a kind of flat area, probably a part of the joint broke and came out, and just like that. So we are just going to give some basic horizontal strokes, and there we have it. So if we have a look at the picture of the toy, there are some dark spots on the wooden surface. I don't know what they are, so I just want to outline them and just fill them with dark strokes and try achieving a similar look. And yeah, let's continue it. For the legs I'll be using curved strokes, but since the material that we are working with is wood, so I'll be finishing this with small curved lines in order to bring out that kind of wooden texture, we did that before. And for the second leg I'll be making a shadow line first and fill it with dark strokes to bring out the shadow that the first leg has to cast on the second one, which is obvious as you can see in the picture of the total scene that we are doing, and the rest is same. Okay, now that I'm done finishing the horse-like toy, I'll be straight on moving on to the base of the plate on which we have everything set up. Since this plate is a flat surface, I'll be sketching it with horizontal line strokes, which is obvious. But the toy is bound to cast a shadow on the surface of the plate, as we do see in the picture. So we have two shades here, one is the lighter one and the other is darker. So first of all I'll make a light outline of the shadow, then I'll be covering the entire area with a light stroke and then come back again and make the shadow area darker with cross lines. Now before finishing the base, I would like to finish the glass. So the glass is obviously a transparent object, so we will be able to see the object behind it, but its transparency will vary. At this part we are looking at the object behind through one layer of glass, so this part will be more prominent and darker. In this area the object behind the glass is actually a cloth which is of less prominence to us. So here we are going to shade this area with light curved stroke so that we have the volume of the glass, as well as it looks that there is something behind it which is like a cloth. And finally we'll add an outline so that everything looks prominent and clear. But in this area we are looking at an object behind through two layers of glasses. One is the outer and the other is the inner. So here the object behind is much lighter and much more faded. So we are going to apply that same kind of light curved strokes that we had earlier applied in this part. Now have a look at these white areas. These are highlighted part of the glass that are shining brightly as a result of light directly falling on the glass surface. So I'll be leaving this part white and sketch the rest of the areas with light curved lines, and somewhere mix them a little bit with the white area so that it doesn't look like a white paper has been pasted on the glass. I have made the edge of the glass darker than the middle portion, mainly because the glass is bending near its two edges. Okay, so now that I have completed this glass, I will complete this bowl or plate whatever with curved lines. One thing to be noticed is the curvature of the lines are greater near the edges since it bends at that point. So it's likely that some shadows will be formed there, which further implies that lines near the edges will not only be curved but also will be much darker. Another thing worth mentioning is that the section under the toy will be much darker since the toy is likely to cast a shadow on the other side of the plate. Once I'm done with this, I will go on to add some small lines to define the thickness of the bowl. And then I'll finish the outer side of the bowl with similar curved lines, the curvature of which increases near the edge of the bowl. And lastly, I'll finish the painting by sketching the shadow on the bowl. This is quite similar to what we had done earlier while sketching the shadow on the base surface of the bowl, where there are two shades of shadow. One is darker and the other is a bit lighter. Hence I did the same thing. Firstly, I made an outline of the two shadows and then I filled it with a single stroke, and then I came back again and filled the darker area with cross lines. And that brings me to the end of this tutorial. So that was all about my first tutorial, and I hope you like it, and if you have, then subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be happy, be good, and go get creative. Tata, bye bye, sayonara.